The diplomatic chamber aboard the Zenith Dawn hummed with an almost musical frequency, a sound that seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves. William Chen stood near the observation window, his reflection ghostly against the backdrop of distant stars, trying to appear smaller than he actually was. It was a futile effort, he knew, but old habits died hard. Behind him, seated upon a crystalline throne that shifted colors with her mood, was Queen Maya of the Volturian Empire. Her form was both alien and strangely familiar, humanoid in structure, but with skin that shimmered like liquid mercury, eyes that held depths of violet fire, and delicate antennae that crowned her head like a living diadem. She was beautiful in a way that transcended species, and that was precisely William's problem. Ambassador Chen, Maya's voice resonated through the chamber, melodious yet carrying an edge of frustration. For the 7th cycle, you have avoided our scheduled cultural exchange. My attendants inform me you take different corridors to avoid passing my quarters. You decline invitations to dine, to walk in the garden spheres, to simply speak. William's jaw tightened. He could feel her gaze upon his back, intense and questioning. Why do you avoid me, human? The question hung in the air like a challenge. He turned slowly, forcing himself to meet those alien eyes. Your Majesty, I haven't been avoiding. Do not insult my intelligence with denials, Maya interrupted, rising from her throne with fluid grace. She moved toward him, and William noticed his hands had unconsciously clenched into fists, not from aggression but from the sheer effort of standing his ground. I am not some naive courtier to be placated with diplomatic pleasantries. I am asking you directly, what have I done to earn your disdain? Disdain, William's eyes widened. Your Majesty, you misunderstand. Then help me understand, she said, stopping just 3 meters from him, close enough that he could see the subtle patterns that swirled beneath her skin like currents in an ocean. The other human diplomats engage with my people freely. They laugh with us, debate with us, share meals and stories. But you, the lead ambassador, the one sent specifically to bridge our worlds, you flee from my presence like I carry some terrible plague. William felt heat creeping up his neck. How could he explain this without causing an intergalactic incident? How could he tell an alien queen that the problem wasn't her, but him? He began, then stopped. Years of diplomatic training seemed to evaporate in the face of her direct question. Your Majesty, in human culture there are complications, protocols. Maya tilted her head, her antennae curving forward with curiosity. Explain these complications. William took a deep breath. Here went his career, probably his freedom, possibly his life. You're extraordinarily beautiful, Your Majesty, he said, the words tumbling out faster than he could control them. Not just by Volturian standards, but by human ones too, somehow. And you're brilliant. The way you unified 17 warring systems through pure diplomatic genius is legendary among my people. You're kind to your subordinates, fierce with your enemies, and you have this laugh that... He stopped himself, realizing he'd gone too far. Maya's skin had shifted to a warm amber color, her antennae now fully erect and quivering slightly. Continue, she said softly. On Earth, William forced himself to continue, staring at a point past her shoulder, when someone of lower station harbors inappropriate feelings toward someone of vastly higher rank, the honorable thing is to maintain distance, to not burden that person with unwanted attention, to not create awkwardness or worse, give the impression that one's diplomatic work is motivated by personal interest rather than the good of one's people. The silence that followed was deafening. William could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. He just confessed attraction to an alien monarch. The alliance was probably over. Humanity's best chance at joining the galactic coalition, destroyed because he couldn't keep his stupid feelings in check. Then Maya laughed. It wasn't a polite, courtly laugh. It was full-bodied, genuine, musical, and utterly surprising. Her skin rippled through a rainbow of colors, gold, rose, azure, each shift seeming to correspond with waves of emotion. Oh, William, she said, and it was the first time she'd used his given name. "Oh, you beautiful, ridiculous, utterly human fool." William's head snapped up, confusion replacing his shame. "Your Majesty." Maya moved closer, now within arm's reach. "Do you know why I specifically requested you as ambassador? Why I insisted, over the objections of my council, that Earth send William Chen and no other? I assumed it was my record with the Proxima negotiations." "It was because I read everything you'd ever written," Maya interrupted. "Every report, every analysis, every casual log entry from your previous postings. Do you know what I found? A man who saw people, not just political entities. A man who learned 17 languages not because it was required, but because he genuinely wanted to understand. A man who, in his private journals, yes, I had access to those, intelligence networks being what they are, wrote poetry about the loneliness of space and the beauty of connection across the void." William felt like the floor had dropped away beneath him. "I have," Maya continued, her voice softer now, "spent 3 cycles trying to arrange moments where we might accidentally meet. I've learned about human cuisine, human music, human literature, all in hopes of finding common ground for conversation. And you, with your honorable human protocols, interpreted my interest as mere political courtesy and ran in the opposite direction." "But you're a queen," William said weakly. "I'm just the first human who made me feel something other than duty in 200 cycles," Maya finished. "Just the person whose absence I notice in every room. Just the one whose opinion I value above my entire council's when making decisions that affect billions." She raised one hand, holding it palm up between them, a Voltorian gesture he recognized as an invitation, not a command. "Your human protocols," she said, "are based on assumptions of power imbalance and potential exploitation, yes, on protecting the less powerful from unwanted attention." William nodded, not trusting his voice. "Then let me be clear, Ambassador Chen, so there can be no misunderstanding." Maya's eyes blazed with violet fire, but her voice remained gentle. "I am not asking as a queen to a subject. I am asking as one lonely soul to another. Would you do me the honor of not avoiding me anymore? Would you share a meal with me, not as political theater but as 2 people trying to know each other? Would you give whatever this is," she gestured between them, "a chance to become whatever it might become?" William stared at her outstretched hand. Everything he'd been trained for, every diplomatic instinct, warred with something deeper, something fundamentally human that yearned for connection, that had been kindled the first moment he'd seen her speak with such passion about peace, about understanding, about building bridges between stars. Slowly he reached out and placed his hand in hers. Her skin was warm, electric, alive with subtle currents of energy. "I would be honored, Maya," he said, using her name for the first time. "Though I warn you, I'm terrible at poetry despite what my journals might suggest." Her laughter filled the chamber again, and her skin bloomed into shades of rose and gold. "Then we shall be terrible at it together," she said. "I've been attempting to write human sonnets. They're dreadful." "Sonnets are hard," William admitted, a smile finally breaking across his face. "Maybe we could start with haikus." 17 syllables about starlight and connection. Maya's antennae curved forward with what he was learning to recognize as pleasure. "I think I could manage that." As they stood there, hands joined, human and Voltorian, William realized that sometimes the bravest diplomatic act wasn't maintaining professional distance, it was closing it. Sometimes peace between worlds began with understanding between souls. "So," Maya said, her tone turning playful, "does this mean you'll stop taking the long way around the station to avoid my quarters?" William laughed, the sound rusty from weeks of tension finally released. "Yes, Your Majesty. I'll even walk through the garden spheres." "Just Maya," she corrected. "When we're alone, just Maya." "Just Maya," William repeated, savoring the sound. Outside the observation window, stars wheeled in their ancient dance, uncaring of species or protocol, knowing only that in the vast darkness of space, any connection, any genuine spark of understanding and affection, was a miracle worth celebrating. And in the diplomatic chamber of the Zenith Dawn, two such sparks had finally stopped avoiding each other.